Mari. I hope you're having a good day. I wanted to share some new fountain pens I got, but I also wanted to give a little background about the artist behind this collaboration. This is the Sailor Pro Fit, but it's in collaboration with this artist, Mizutama, who's a Japanese artist who started out as a eraser stamp artist, but has branched out, and you find her items everywhere in terms of stationery, washi tape, stamps, stickers, note sets, notebooks. You'd even find them at some of our favorite stationery pen stores like Osaka or Jet Pens. So this is an artist that I discovered in Japan a few years ago, and I have a few of her things. So I just thought, we could look at her things, her aesthetic, and she has a calendar out that I wanted to share, and also a book. So let's get started. So before we get started looking at the pens, I thought I would just give a little introduction, show you my other items that I got. I bought all of this from Amazon Japan. The exchange rate is incredibly favorable for the US dollar right now, so things look really cheap. A caveat though, shipping is very, very high on Amazon Japan. However, I need to occasionally buy stuff from Amazon Japan. My parents are both from Japan. I was born in the States, but I speak some Japanese. And, so when I place an order, when you add stuff on top of your order, the shipping doesn't go up that much. So I do the little game where I see how much shipping is, and then if I add stuff, how much more is shipping and how much do I save by buying it from Amazon Japan versus somewhere locally. And a lot of the times it doesn't make sense, but this time it really made sense because everything was on sale. It was kind of nuts. But I wanted to show you how I got introduced to this artist and Mizutama-san and kind of what she does. And I actually think her aesthetic is very cute. So for some of you, I'm sure you're just like, no, this is not for me. But I like the way her work is simple, but there's still expression in it. And it's somewhat aspirational, somewhat like, hey, I could draw like that, a little bit. That's how I feel. So maybe 7 years ago, on a trip to Japan, I bought a little blind box. I'd never heard of her. For those of you who don't know what a blind box is, they're literally block boxes. And you know that you're going to get one of maybe 8 or 10 items, but you don't know which one. So this is the one I got, and it's this little figurine, and on the bottom is a stamp. Mizutama started out as a eraser stamp artist, when you carve out erasers. She's done, I think, different media right now, mediums, I'm not sure. But right now what she's really into on her Instagram account is drawing on coasters, like those round, maybe thick cardstock coasters, and she draws with Copic pens and other regular pens. So this day-by-day calendar for 2024 is all coaster designs. So they're really cute. I don't know, it's kind of nice to see this on a daily basis. Just, hey, smile. So I got this. And then I got this book, which I find very interesting. It is a beginner's book to fountain pens and ink. It's called Hajimete no Manen Hitsu Inku no Hon. So literally beginner's guide to fountain pens and ink. What's interesting about Japanese is it's very hard to read and write because there's 2 alphabets, and then there's also kanji, which are Chinese characters. And to read a newspaper, you need to learn like 2,000 kanji. So the first alphabet is called katakana, and that's for words that are just translated. We call them loan words sometimes from other languages. So this is inku. That's ink, and it's phonetically spelled out. The second alphabet is called hiragana, and that's for kind of regular Japanese words, end of verbs, particles. So hajimete, so this more like curvy alphabet is the hiragana. And then this part, which looks very complicated, is the kanji. I had to look up how to read this because I had no idea what it was. So ma nen hitsu literally means 10,000 year brush. And that's what fountain pens are called in Japan. Pens are just called pen, and it's written out in katakana. So I just found that really interesting, and I did some research. And one guess is that that term comes from a marketing campaign where fountain pens are so durable that they would last you 10,000 years. I don't know if that's quite true, but it's just fun that that has stayed with fountain pen. So I like this book because there's not, I think, a lot of fountain pen books out there about ink. It's all very basic. There's nothing new. It's just presented in like a nice way. The one thing I do like is she talks about different pens and weights. And when she talks about different pens, she has quite reasonable ones listed, like the Preppy, Kakuno, Profit Junior, which is the one the collaboration pens are in. And she even talks about the Lamy and the Twisby, and then like glass pens or dip pens. As you go through this book, like she gives different ideas on how you can use fountain pen ink as well, which I struggle with because I have a lot of ink and I don't always know what to do with. So she uses water brushes with ink and creates these drawings. So I thought those were really inspirational for me. So those are the two items I got that are not pen related or ink related. So now let's look at the pens and inks. So here are the pens. Like I mentioned before, they are Sailor Profit Juniors. They come in this really nice package with the pen, the cap, and matching converter, which I'm sure we all wish Sailor would do that with all of their pens. And then a little bottle of ink. And the ink is custom made for these three pens. I just wanted to repack this so you could see how it was in the box. What's I find interesting is the pens and the book both came out in August. So I thought, oh, that's a nice gift to give somebody the pen and the book as an introduction on how to use ink and how to fill your pen. But it's quite nicely packaged and everything is, like individually boxed. This is like a whole set. But then underneath is a little booklet. Ah, okay. Profit Junior, so you have pen and 10 milliliters of ink. And again, it's showing how to use a converter with an ink, little drawings. So let's look at each of these pens up close and then test the ink. So here are each of the pens. What makes them interesting is they each have a name, and the name on the back of the box, she wrote a little phrase for each pen right here. And this phrase that's related to the name is also related to the little drawings on the pen. So the first one, this brown one, is called kohiru, which means midday. And on the back, the little saying is 大好きなパンとおやつの時間, which means favorite bread and snack time. And lo and behold, on the cap, you see a little bear eating a donut, maybe, and some bread, a cup, I'll say tea. And then on the other side, there's a rabbit. So they're slightly different on each side, just a bear and a rabbit. Uh, and then the ink is also called kohiru. And you could see on the drawing, there's that little bear and it says kohiru. The second one, this white one, is called yo soy, which means outside. And the little phrase there translates to wearing your favorite beret. And so this little character here is wearing a beret. It's different each side, yes. So the difference is this little character, this little bear or bunny. And here's the ink, which looks to be a gray. I've heard this is not like the most exciting color. So when we swatch it, we'll see, because maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Um, and then this one's my favorite. This is the one that kind of, because it's blue and I love blue, kind of caught my attention. And it's called Sayazuri, which means twitter, like the sound a bird makes. And the little phrase actually has nothing to do with birds, but it's relaxing by the forest. So here's this little character reading a book. There's clouds. Oh, wait. And on this side, there's a bird. So that's the difference between the two sides of this pen. And then here is, oops, the bottle of ink. And the little bird is sitting next to her. So I love the fact that this complete set, which in Japan I think retails for about $40. Uh, I got it, like I said, it was on sale for some reason on Amazon at the time I bought it. I think I've seen it here for a bit more, but I just, the thought that's put into this is really nice. So let's test the inks. So when I test my inks, I do it like everybody else does it. I have a Kakimori nib, you know, jar for water, a little pipette, and then I'll explain what this sparkly thing is. I just wanted to share that I was really excited to get this jar. I got this at Target. I was just looking for a jar, and I was just gonna get the regular clear ball ones, and then they had these, and they were like vintage style, so they're slightly pink, and it just, I don't know, sometimes like just the mundane things, if you just make it a little nicer, it makes it a little bit more special. So when I do my dropper of ink to swirl it around, this is actually a pen blank from Rapture Resins. It's quite fun. I do own a lathe and I have done some turning. I am nowhere near doing a kitless pen. Uh, that would be like my dream to actually be able to learn to do that. I've done very simple kitted pens, but I have bought an interesting pen kit that it from Bullseye Turning Company. I think that's what they're called. And it's like halfway between one of those pen kits that all you do is really just turn two little cylinders and a kitless pen. And this one has a Schmidt nib in it, which I find interesting because it's, you know, a bit higher quality than your typical nib. So fingers crossed that I get to the point where I can show how that's made. Before I get started with the ink swatches, I have some washi tape by her as well. Here's one that has cookies on, and then this one, these little characters have little fruit costumes. So I'm going to be testing on a Hobonichi notebook with the, you know, the original Tomoe River paper. Uh, you know, I'm always inspired by the other uh, ink fountain pen lovers out there, like Leanne likes, My Dandelion Diaries, Karina likes to plan. So, you know, I'm just doing kind of a take on that. We'll start out with Kohiru, the brown one, which let's see how it looks. Um, there, it's a brown. Like this. It looks like a milk chocolate color, I would call it. So this was so Sailor and Mizu. Right. This is my first time testing these inks, and I actually, even though I've had them for a little bit, and I really like this color. I think it's coming out a little browner on the camera than in real life. In real life, it has slight more red to it. It's quite lovely. Okay, let's see the next one. You know, I kind of did this in the wrong order. I try to always do the lightest one first so it's not contaminated by, other colors, the kakimori, nib, or the pipette. But, yeah. So the next one I'm going to do is Yosoi. Supposedly this not very exciting gray. Let's see. Interested to see how this dries. I actually really like gray inks. So, but yeah, I don't know if this one's particularly exciting. But let's see. Again, Sailor and mizutama. That was nice. These inks are definitely, standard ink, but they're nice and wet. They're not dry, which is nice. And so the last one, Saizuri, I have to admit it's my favorite, even though we'll see how these other ones dry. You could also buy these inks. They come in the sets, but there's a set of 3 inks that you can buy that I've seen. Let's see. Ooh. I can't help it. I love turquoise, teal, any kind of color. I don't think these are going to have any particular, like, great shading. Uh, Not like all the Manyo inks or I can't think of the other, Urameku inks. So pretty straightforward, which I think is probably on purpose because these sets are meant for beginners. So I think the goal is probably to get just nice, consistent inks that, are clay nice. Okay, I'm going to let them dry and then we'll take a look at them. Oh, the ink's dried. I think they look quite nice. Here is Kohiru. There's some shading. I don't see any sheening. Here's Yosoi. It's not so boring. And Saizuri, which I really, really like. I am swatching the 2022 and 2023 Inkvent calendars right now. And these 2 colors are going to be a little bit of 2 inks from the 2022 calendar. So Kohiru reminded me a little bit of Yule log in their like base color. And then Yosoi reminded me of, let's see, where is it? Dusted truffle. I think Yosoi is a little darker, but there's a similar tone, which this actually is a bit darker than I expected it to be. And while these were drying, I filled up the pens and I wrote with them on, this is Sanzen Tomoe River paper, so the new Tomoe River paper. And I don't think I mentioned all the fountain pens have medium fine nibs. And so I find with medium fine nibs, you don't always see shading when you write with it, but I still think it's quite nice. And then I just wanted to show too the size. If you've never had a ProFit Junior, they're really similar to a Pilot Metropolitan in size and feel, although the Metropolitan is heavier because this one, mine has a lot of metal in it, I think. And then in terms of, so this is a twist where the Metropolitan is a pull. Um, this grip section is a little thicker. I find it very comfortable to write with. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of uh, the inks and the pens and some of Mizutama's work. I had fun sharing it. I really did. I am so pleased with how the inks are, and these pens, what can I say? They're adorable. I hope, I mean, wouldn't it be great if Sailor did more of these collaborations with different artists? Like, I know that they, well, I mean, maybe I'm hoping too much, but like, around the world, because the idea of like having the whole set, the pen, the converter, the ink as a matching set is just really nice. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.